2023 has so many exciting games releasing this year that both my wallet and my free time are looking at the list of releasing games and quietly sobbing in despair because holy sh! We just got through 2022, and 2022 was a banger year for games with titles like Sifu, Tunic, Neon White, and of course, two of the best titles to drop in years in Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. But even a quick glance at the list of games set to release for this year should have you convinced that 2023 may be one of the biggest years for gaming ever. We're barely into the year and already we have the best remake ever made in Dead Space Remake. OG Dead Space was a fantastic game, one of the best horror games of all time, and I had my doubts going into Dead Space Remake about it even being worth it or needed. But then you play Dead Space Remake. It fixes the limited problems of the original and it puts all of these small extra bits of content and story and quality of life improvements that takes this incredible game and boosts it somehow even higher, which seemed impossible, but here we are, it's possible. We got Hi-Fi Rush, which full disclosure, I haven't played yet, but holy hell am I gonna. This game came out of nowhere and it has all the charm, charisma, frenetic energy, and over-the-top gameplay that everyone should be diving into to experience for themselves. Hogwarts Legacy released and quickly logged in the highest concurrent view count ever on Twitch. Legacy has been treated with the sort of frantic energy, both positive and negative, that we rarely see in any medium. Twitter controversies and turmoil aside, Hogwarts Legacy is undoubtedly going to be one of the biggest gaming events of the year. Atomic Heart has released to mixed reviews. Safe to say it isn't the sublime masterpiece that many, including myself, were hoping it would be, but I can't help but wonder if this one will turn out to be another one of those games that you look back on a few years after the fact and you say to yourself, you know what, Atomic Heart was actually pretty decent and we should have given it a chance. Time will tell on this one. Sons of the Forest is a sequel to The Forest, a game that, when played multiplayer, is basically a build a cabin then watch it burn down because your buddy is an idiot and not to be trusted with fire simulator. I'm 100% in for a return visit. Plus you get a derpy little NPC buddy guy who has a brain aneurysm, but he seems like the perfect guy to spend time deserted on an island with, and by that I mean that he shuts the fuck up and he does what he's told. Perfect companion, 10 out of 10. I'm just now getting into Yakuza game. Like, I haven't even gotten fully through Yakuza 0 yet, but I'm fully invested in the franchise, so Like a Dragon Ishin's take on the same gaming formula as Yakuza, but set in feudal Japan with katanas and guns and who knows what sort of mini-games thrown in, is something that I'm already pumped for, if for no other reason than our stand-in for Kiryu in the game actually gets to kill people in canon. Later on this same year, we have Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, which, look, I'm not sure what this game is based on the trailers that I've seen, but it's more Yakuza and Like a Dragon, and I am both thrilled because Yakuza is great, and also frightened because I am one game into a dozen game-long series that seems insistent upon speeding up releases rather than slowing down on them, so I am never gonna catch up. But fuck it, I'm in. Wolong Fallen Dynasty is a Souls-like by Team Ninja, the developers behind Ninja Gaiden, and perhaps more importantly, the Nioh series. From everything I've seen, Wolong looks to be a spiritual successor to Nioh in a lot of ways, with additional parrying, deflecting, and some traversal mechanics of Sekiro thrown in. Honestly, if the game just turns out to be Nioh meets Sekiro, then sign me up. I'm honestly fine with that, because what more do you need from a game anyways? Resident Evil 4 Remake. Jury's out until the game is actually released, but if any game has any hope of dethroning Dead Space Remake from its newly acquired throne of greatest remake of all time, it's gotta be this one, right? And it would be wild to me if Dead Space Remake got knocked out of first place in the remake race this soon after coming in on top, especially by a remake of the very game that inspired the original Dead Space. Star Wars Jedi Survival is the sequel to a shockingly well-made and enjoyable game in Star Wars Fallen Order. Shocking partly because nobody expected such a well-made Souls-like game set in the Star Wars universe, and mostly because nobody knew that EA was capable of making a successful single-player game they didn't monetize the ever-loving shit out of, least of all EA themselves. Diablo 4 looks great and I hate it because it's by Actibliz and I don't want to give them a single cent of my money, but every time I see it, my will to resist what seems to be a wildly cool game slips that much farther, so fuck you Blizzard for this great looking game. I hope for the sake of my barely existent morals and principles that it blows. Final Fantasy hasn't been good since Final Fantasy IX. Yeah, I said it. But Final Fantasy 16 looks absolutely gorgeous. Every time I look at it, it bleeds style and cool and the type of commitment to visual flair that defined the PlayStation 1 era when Square Enix were releasing games that made every other game on the market look like it was back on Atari by comparison. I'm really hoping that the actual game is competent and fun to play, and not just the giant game of alphabet soup, word salad, what the fuck am I even looking at that most modern Square Enix titles have devolved into. I'm looking at you, Kingdom Hearts. You did this. And no amount of smacking Disney characters is worth the absolute mess you've made of everything that Square Enix releases at this point. In further Final Fantasy news, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth releases this year, along with probably like 2 or 3 weird offshoot, totally unneeded Final Fantasy VII related sub-games that you couldn't pay me to spit on, more or less pay for. A lot of Final Fantasy VII purists hate that Remake split off from the original story. I don't really mind much. I think there's room to tell a story with some variants and all that, but I feel 90% positive that this is going to head right into the same weirdly convoluted, nonsensical, impossible to follow plot contrivances that I was just talking about a moment ago. But you know what? If it results in more weird, over-the-top, zany stuff like Cloud getting a hand massage, Tifa parkour, darts, box massacres, then sign me up because that's all I really care about in modern Square Enix titles anyways. I've played about 30 minutes, give or take, of Breath of the Wild as of the writing of this script. Tears of the Kingdom comes out in about 2 months. Nine Souls looks like if Hollow Knight starred furries instead of bugs and was set in fantasy feudal Japan instead of fantasy medieval Europe, but not in a dank cave, and I'm here for it. But not near as much as I'm here for Hollow Knight Silksong. I haven't anticipated a game nearly as much as Silksong in a very long time, and that's really unfortunate because Hollow Knight Silksong is not coming out in 2023 or ever. That's right, boys, Silksong isn't real. It's bait by Team Cherry, who now are the largest shareholders in clown and clown-related stocks and investments in the known world. If they actually release Silksong, then all their investments are for naught, so they're gonna keep us all in clown mode as long as it remains profitable. Honk honk, bitches. Spiderman 2 is due out this year, and all it has to do is be generally around the same quality as the first one, let us play as Venom, and have the balls to actually let us eat people. That's it. The Lords of the Fallen is a sequel to 2014's Souls-like Lords of the Fallen. Opinions on which ranged from this game is a bit of a snooze fest to this game is an atrocious, horrible to play dud. It would appear that tacking on "the" to the game's title has worked some kind of fundamental magic. That and a darker, heavier style, an impressive step up in art direction, and a host of strange and twisted adversaries to take on. And this sequel, reboot, whatever, instantly has my attention far more than its predecessor ever did. Here's hoping they pull it off this time. Following the Lords of the Fallen's lead in terms of improving art design and crazy enemies to wage war against, Remnant 2 looks set to far outpace its predecessor in just about every level, with a trailer that oozes atmosphere and cool. The original Remnant was a competently handled take on Souls-like with guns, fun to play and engaging, but suffering from a lack of real atmosphere or world building and substandard boss and enemy variety and design. If the trailers are any indication, Remnant 2 seems to have taken these shortcomings seriously and put in the work to remedy these issues. And I'm excited to see how well the sequel comes together to hopefully give us a real Dark Souls with pew-pews experience. Black Myth Wukong is a game that released a trailer out of nowhere and blew the minds of almost any gamer who laid eyes on it, presenting an epic, grand Souls-like experience featuring the titular Wukong and other mainstays of Chinese mythology. It looks bombastic in scope and scale, with some of the most imaginative and lushly detailed environments, enemy designs, and animations I've seen in some time. The trailers look so good that a lot of people speculate they're all hocus pocus and similar to pre-release Cyberpunk 2077 trailers, and the game can't possibly live up to what's presented. All I can say is if Black Myth comes even close to what we've been shown so far and doesn't run like an absolute disaster, then this has Game of the Year all over it. Lies of P is Pinocchio, but if Pinocchio was Bloodborne. Fuck it, I'm in. A Lollipop Chainsaw remake is allegedly being released this year. I don't know if this is supposed to be a graphical touch-up or a from the ground up remake because there isn't even a trailer out for it as of writing this script, which does make me feel a healthy dose of suspicion of where this is headed. But I say anything that brings more Suda51 to a wider audience and gives us more chances to play through the fever dreams of his games is a good thing. Armored Core 6 is officially a thing that is happening this year. I played the original Armored Core back when I was a lad so young that my beard hadn't even formed yet. Long before FromSoft was a household gaming name and Dark Souls was still a swampy twinkle in Miyazaki's eye. I loved it then, and although I haven't played an Armored Core game since Armored Core 3, I can only imagine that with the level of polish and prestige that FromSoft is now synonymous for, I will love Armored Core 6 and everything it has to offer. Do you think there's gonna be a mech-sized swamp? Or perhaps are we gonna get mech lady feet? Which Miyazakiism is going to be best represented in a mech game? Let me know what you think in the comments. I bet it'll be Robo Feet. 2023 is gonna be so stacked with games, it's gonna be even more stacked than your mom, with a ton of super appealing games already listed for release, and we're not even talking about whatever indie games come out with this year, and indie games have been churning out banger after banger every year, so we know there's gonna be something great coming. I'm pumped, I'm excited, and I'm way too broke for any of this. What?